Someone stops texting back, a friend becomes distant, a person you love starts choosing everyone else, and before you even understand what's happening, you're already trying to fix it. You send one more message, you explain yourself, you apologize for things you didn't even do. The most painful part of being left is not losing them. It's realizing how much of yourself you abandoned trying to keep them. Most people call that love. Laozi would call it something else, because according to him, the act of chasing someone who is leaving is not how you keep them, it's how you lose yourself. Today we're going to look at one of the most painful experiences a person can have, watching someone walk away, and why Laozi said, let them. Here's the honest truth about chasing. Most people aren't doing it because they love the other person. They're doing it because of how being left behind makes them feel. Abandoned, not enough, invisible, and the mind will do almost anything to make that feeling stop. So we reach out, we show up uninvited, we say, I'll change, we say, just tell me what you need, we say, please. Many people call it love, but if you constantly have to convince someone to stay, what you're experiencing may be fear wearing love's clothing. Fear says, I can't survive this loss. Love says, I want what is best for you, even if that isn't me. When someone starts pulling away, the instinct to chase almost always comes from the first place, not the second. But according to Laozi, the real danger isn't that someone leaves. The real danger is what chasing does to you, and most people don't notice it until it's too late. Think about what it actually looks like. You send a third message when the first two went unanswered. You change your behavior, your opinions, even your appearance, hoping that if you become someone slightly different, they'll decide to stay. Some people leave your life long before they physically walk away, and you spend months chasing someone who is already gone. None of it works, and somewhere inside you already know that. Laozi wrote about the nature of water. He said, water never argues with the rock, it simply flows around it. Yet over time, the rock is the thing that changes. What is natural cannot be forced, and what is forced cannot remain natural. Imagine standing at a river, holding your hands open. Water rests there, still, clear, present. Now squeeze your hands together. The water vanishes, not because it left you, but because force broke the conditions that allowed it to stay. Connection works the same way. The tighter you grip a relationship that is ending, the more it slips through. The more you explain, justify, and negotiate, the more desperate the situation becomes, not just to you, to them. And slowly you stop being the person they once admired. You become the person who needs to be managed. This is the trap of holding on. You enter it trying to save the relationship. You exit it having lost something even more important, yourself. Then something unexpected happens. The very moment someone leaves becomes the moment they reveal who they truly are. But to understand that, we have to tell a story first. There is a story told in the tradition of Taoist teachers. A man planted a bamboo grove beside his home. For years, the bamboo grew tall and strong. It gave him shade in the summer and shelter in the wind. One autumn, he noticed one of the stalks beginning to yellow. It leaned away from the others. Slowly, it bent toward the ground. The man watered it more. He tied it upright with rope. He moved nearby rocks so the soil could breathe. He stayed beside it through cold evenings, watching. Nothing changed. An old gardener passed by one morning and observed him. After a long silence, she said, "You are caring for it as though effort can decide whether it lives. But some bamboo is only meant for one season. The harder you hold on, the more you delay the soil receiving what it needs to grow again." The man asked, "Then what do I do?" She said, "Let it fall and trust that what comes after was always the point." Some relationships are that bamboo, not failures, not mistakes, simply meant for one season. When someone leaves, the instinct is to see it as a statement about you, your worth, your value, your lovability. But Laozi taught something different. Every departure is information, not about you, about them. When someone walks away, they are showing you their priorities, their capacity for depth, their willingness to invest, their ability to stay when things are no longer easy. Laozi believed that we know people not through their words, but through what they do when it costs them something. Rejection often hurts less than uncertainty. That's why people cling to relationships that already ended, because uncertainty keeps the door open, and the mind prefers a painful maybe to a definite no. But when someone walks away clearly, that clarity, however painful, is one of the most honest gifts they can give you. You are no longer waiting. You are no longer guessing. You finally know. The river does not mourn the banks it has left behind. It simply continues toward the sea. That is its nature. When someone leaves, they are following theirs. The only question is whether you will stand at the bank calling the river back or finally begin walking downstream yourself. This is where Laozi's philosophy becomes deeply counterintuitive, because he believed there are moments when doing less creates better outcomes than doing more. Most of us are taught that effort solves everything. Work harder, try more, never give up. Laozi believed something different. He believed some things are not fixed by effort. They are destroyed by it. He called the opposite of forcing wu wei. It does not mean doing nothing. It means acting in harmony with what is, rather than fighting against what cannot be changed. Consider bamboo in a storm. It does not stand rigid and resist. It bends. It moves with the wind. And when the storm passes, the bamboo is still there, while the oak tree, which refused to yield, has broken at the root. Letting someone go who has chosen to leave is not weakness. It is not defeat. It is the bamboo bending. There is a profound difference between surrender and acceptance. Surrender means you have been defeated. Acceptance means you have chosen not to fight a battle that was never yours to win. And when you stop fighting, something shifts. Not outside of you, inside. The noise in your head gets quieter. You begin to see the situation clearly, not as you hoped it would be, as it actually is. And you begin to remember who you were before you started editing yourself for someone else. There is something Laozi understood that takes time to see, but once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Every person who leaves your life creates space, not emptiness. Space, like a forest after autumn. The ground looks bare, the branches look empty. A traveler passing through might think, this forest is dying, but beneath the fallen leaves, beneath the frost and the silence, next season is already preparing itself. The release was not the end. The release was the preparation. The people who stay in your life after you stop chasing them, those are the ones worth having, because they chose you freely, not out of obligation, not because you persuaded them, but because they wanted to. That is the only kind of connection worth building a life around. Laozi never promised that life would keep everything you love. He taught something harder and more freeing. He taught that the river never turns around to beg the mountain. The leaf never climbs back onto the branch. The wind never apologizes for changing direction. Nature does not chase what has already moved on. Nature moves forward. And Laozi believed, so should you. Some people will stay, some people will leave. If someone truly wants to be in your life, you will not have to convince them. And if they choose to leave, chasing them only delays your peace. Let them go, not because they didn't matter, but because your life is still here, still moving, still flowing forward, like water that has found its path. And no river ever reached the sea by turning back. If you like our discussion today, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you in the next video.